Today I want to talk about who cruising is good for. It's a fantastic question, and it's one that I think is super relevant, especially right now. Cruising in general, let's kind of get to the basics here. It is originally meant for the entire family to come and go on vacation. Not talking about, the older ones, that were meant for just the super rich and famous and their families, but the cruising is, I believe, now meant for everyone to come and enjoy the seas. Now, what makes cruising so fantastic, and why should it be one of the things that you consider when you're thinking about a family vacation? Really, these, I think, are thoughts that many of us have as we're thinking about cruising, no matter how many times you've tried other vacation spots. If you've never tried cruising before, I think it's all relevant questions. The first thought is, everything is so convenient and right here, and I think there's such a relevance to that. When you think about, you go on a vacation, let's just take Disney World. I'm a huge Disney guy. When you go to Walt Disney World, there's a lot of things to plan, right? You go and you have to pick, okay, we're doing this for dining. Got to get park reservations, got to make sure you got tickets, and last minute rain delays, got to make sure I know what to do there, which park to go to on which days, which ride to go to, which ride should I prioritize. There's a lot of factors that kind of are on you to decide. Now, Disney's kind of working on different ways to make it easier for you, but in the end, when you're on a land-based vacation, at least right now, unless it's an all-inclusive resort, which do exist, having those things answered for you can take a lot of you personally deciding. Now, when it comes to a cruise ship, it's a little different. When you're on a cruise ship, everything is kind of not preset, but there are activities. And even though, yes, you will have to get a hotel and maybe fly to where you got to go, once you get there, once you get on board, it's all here. All the food options. No restaurants to decide. You just say, you know what? Tonight I feel like going to this restaurant. Or maybe tomorrow I feel like going to the buffet instead of to the regular dinner. And you don't have to go far, make reservations, make phone calls. It's all done for you, which I personally think is an amazing thing. You don't have to worry about any stresses at all, and I think that's a really big selling point to cruising. But let's go beyond that. Let's talk about entertainment, because when you go to other destinations, let's pretend you're going to Washington, D.C., where I'm originally from. You go and you experience the monuments. You see the museums. You see some of the art galleries, things that, are tough to see in other places. There's no question about it. But when you go to these places, you go once and it's great. You have a good time, and then next year you probably don't want to go to the exact same location. Growing up in D.C., I have seen my fill of museums, personally. But when you go on a cruise, there's always a new destination. You can choose to go to Eastern Caribbean, Western Caribbean, Mexican Riviera, California coast, Alaska, Hawaii, Mediterranean, the fjords, you name it, you can do it. And they'll take you there, basically. And I'm not just talking about one cruise line in particular, I'm talking about all cruise lines that will take you all over the world, which makes it that much more convenient and kind of a double selling point. Because not only does your hotel travel with you, you don't have to worry about reservations and all that, but all the food does too. So when you're going to these destinations, let's take Disney World out of the picture for a minute. You go to Alaska. I want to go to Alaska, but I want to see it in a way that, I can really experience it and then not have as much stress. For me, if I want to see Alaska, I want to go on a cruise and do it. The reason is, I can go and see these great things and experience all that. And you know what? That goes into another reason why the cruise idea might be right for your family, and that's the excursions. When you go to these places, let's think about Alaska for a minute. Alaska's a good example. You want to go to Alaska. You know what? Let's even talk about the Caribbean. Caribbean's great too. All these are great examples, but let's take the Caribbean, for example, and you want to experience St. Thomas, St. Martin, any of these great islands that you can experience different excursions, and I'm looking forward to the day where we do more of those things. I've been seeing so many ships. I'm going to try the excursions too. But if you're going yourself, you're going and you're flying and you get in a hotel, you're going to the Atlantis Resort, which I do want to try, by the way. I heard it's great in Nassau. Let's pretend you go there. After you get there, you kind of got to figure out what you're doing and what other excursions are you going to do and who's the registered taxi driver in the country. A lot of different factors to consider, right? What do you do with this piece and that piece? There's a lot of logistics that you got to get into. And for some, and for many of us, for many years, that's the thing to do, and you kind of do that. But if you want the all-inclusive experience, and there is a premium cost to it, no question about it, but if you do want it, and there's definitely an appeal to it, you get it through the cruise line. Not just Disney, but any of the cruise lines will offer their own personal versions of the excursions wherever they're going. Again, pay the premium, but that premium not only covers, making sure that everything's all, included and covered and all that, but it's the fact that, let's pretend your excursion is late. Let's pretend it's the exact same excursion, underwater snorkel day at the beach and whatever island you're at. If you're a private expedition, you purchase it separately, save some money. If they're late, the ship's going to wait maybe 15 minutes, and that's a courtesy. Yeah, sometimes they're not. Okay, and then if you're late and you can't make it back in time, and it's not your fault, it's the excursion, you kind of got to get your own way back to the ship however you can. If the ship booked it, if they're late, they know exactly where you are, and more often than not, they're either going to find a way to get you there faster, or they'll hold the ship for you, or in the worst case scenario, they'll get you to where you need to go, and they'll take care of all that. So to me, there's another piece of convenience, another piece of relaxation, another piece of you not having to worry about the piece of logistics that goes along with that. So there's a lot when it comes to the cruising adventure. But I also want to talk about family fun, right? The cruise, in my opinion, is perfect for family fun. Walt Disney World, another good example. You go and different age kids want to go on different rides. Some kids are not tall and old enough to go on Space Mountain, and all the older kids want to go. Some kids don't want to sit through Small World, and some parents really love it for the nostalgia feel. We're looking at an older kid right here who loves Small World. But where do you go? What do you do? Do kids go by themselves to Small World, and the older kids go to Space Mountain? Sometimes that happens. The parents go one way, and yeah, that does happen. But on a cruise ship, and I'm thinking of Disney at the moment, on Disney Cruise, you have the kids area, Vibe, Edge, Oceaneer Club. Kids can go enjoy all day. You are literally not even thinking about it. I'm not a parent, but if I've spoken to parents who go through this, you don't even, not even for 1 second, you're like, oh, they're having a great time, they're at the kids club, done. And that's a level of convenience that I think is unmatched to any land adventure that I know of. So I think that there's a lot to be said for that no worry factor when it comes to the cruise adventure. Now, I know there is a worry factor for some, and I understand it completely. This is actually the sea behind me. Tough to see because it's pitch black. And for many, turning your back to a pitch black sea is actually kind of a scary thought. For me, when I first started sailing, it was. Trust me, it was. But now that I've kind of gotten my sea legs, as it were, it's much, much easier. There's another factor here, it's the seasickness, the feeling of, the back and forth, and I'm gonna feel seasick on a cruise. Will that play into effect? It could, and I know friends who suffer from extreme motion sickness. If that's you, you know it, and you gotta decide what's best for you. But there are all sorts of things. There's an herbal Dramamine that I do recommend. You can buy it anywhere. Non-drowsy herbal Dramamine. There's all sorts of patches and wristbands and all sorts of things you can get that can help you with that. But in my opinion, as someone who has experienced seasickness before, and it's not fun, I'll be the first one to tell you that, it's worth it for the times that you're not seasick. And I've only been seasick once, and it was during extreme seas, and I haven't been since, and I kind of got my sea legs. That being said, I don't suffer from continuous motion sickness. If that's you, and you think that, you know what, I might give it a try, I recommend a 3-night during very calm seas, like not hurricane season, right? Hurricane season, avoid that, and do a 3-nighter. Just see how you feel. Try staying mid-ship, by the way. That'll help you a lot. You do that, and you're still not really feeling too great, maybe it's not for you. But for many, at least what I've heard, many don't experience that seasickness because a lot of the newer ships, anyway, have great stabilizers that help keep the ship relatively still on the water. But the beauty and the ability to disconnect, there are all other components that tie into this. It's hard to kind of wrap into one big package. But for me, to answer the total question, the question that I know many of us are thinking about, even before I cruised, I was thinking about it too. Who is cruising good for? My opinion, it's good for everyone. It is absolutely good for everyone. Everyone you see on the cruise ship smiling, having a good time, disconnected. That's a huge piece. It's disconnected from the outside world, reconnected with family. It's tough to get that outside the cruise world because the phones, and I talk about this. You're connected with your phone, you're always on social media, whatever it is. When you're on the cruise, you're together here, outside world falls away. And it's an amazing feeling, and that's why I believe cruising is for everyone, and 100% worth a try, even if you're a little nervous or something like that. The dark, scary, nighttime sea, you still have the opportunity to experience the beauty, the majesty, the fun that is cruising. That's my opinion. If you think differently, you're thinking to yourself, you know what, Michael, not for me, not doing it, and here's why, we want to know about it in the comments below. And if you're starting to think, you know what, maybe I'll try it. Maybe I've convinced you, you're saying to yourself, all right, this might be it. Maybe we can do this. I want to hear that from you too. And any other concerns you have, maybe we can talk it out together in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on if cruising's right for you, and if you're thinking about it for you and your family, what's right, what's not right, what you're still concerned about. More than happy to answer your questions, and we have so many friends in our community who would be more than happy to answer as well. We got so many cruise experts in our community who love answering these questions. So huge thanks for being a part of it and for being one of those experts, so you know who you are. Really appreciate you watching, sharing in it with me. Until next time, have a magical day, and a huge thank you to our patrons for making it all possible. See you real soon.